Hello and welcome to Hornbill TV. I'm Akivito and now. The Aboy District Demand Committee had served an ultimatum on January 15th to the state government to declare Aboy as a district on or before January 23rd, 2022. With just a day left, the ADDC has informed that there has been no response from the state government till now. Alang Ang Konyak, member of the ADDC, spoke to Hornbill TV and expressed disappointment that the government of Nagaland has been ignorant to their calls for many years now. Let's have a look at the details.
Aji the 22nd is and tomorrow is Sunday. Have you heard anything from the government?
Not yet, nothing at the moment, nothing. No, actually, it's like this. We have been demanding the district since 2008. Now,
Yes.
since 2008, and then even it was approved, included in cabinet memo 2011. During that time, it was only two. There were only two district demand. One is Aboy and another is Noglak. So that time Aboy was in number one, serial number one. Noglak was in two.
That was 2011.
Yes, it was during 2011. So during such times, like if we were asking the government, we have written different ultimatums. Mahan Relevi Jaise, was the CM Aboy the last time Amdevi Mahan remind Kurise, Kahan Enega Kuridivi. So Enega paperwork Enega Han Kurida Madura district Lado Kisado Nakoigana Bojisi government be. But our paperwork is still in the office, like government level na.
Okay.
Pursue kurina rakha.
Okay.
So different terms, times like mohan key clearance lage, key criteria lage, key lage so dise mohan. And then indeed government bakwan is na mohan criteria to fulfill kun khaise by that time.
Okay.
And still today. NOC do lagi bi dise at last.
Okay.
Baru konyang alam double lagi na NOC bi mane withdraw ko disile mahan Aboy ke first di kana thakabe. Understanding I jayega na ite do duita ke bi NOC dise that you can pursue.
Okay.
Na. Konyak union apex body mon na.
Okay.
Is also demanding one more district in Mon district under Mon district. But tahan mention na for Aboy in the tabo because it is not their duty na.
Okay.
It is the government to decide, right? So ito ekta boyas na. So ami kan do ultimatum last time bi digina ase but ito dam do alop office bears change ho dam de naga time ho jane mohan bi alop relay ekta rakhiga na public relay rakhiga na charge se but this time though alop serious chawal lage kila mane 13 years 14 years running India.
Yes.
Turn down stone deaf government brand paid Quran in middle American this time though 24 was suru gorigna mahan the agitation do job because to 23rd tak to mahan time frame rakhina zata hange ultimately
So,
till to the time that mahan republic devi boycott kulela time bi IS
okay.
continue to do that.
Okay.
So the government has to hear our call and then they have to reply. Ki na pare na but for na nagai hono like them. One of all the demand in the state. Our development sector de mahando ekam ki ko down ase.
Down na.
Hoy etu karne ki hoile bi opportunities hoile bi economically hoile bi na ekta independent
15 October 2021 the undertaking loise with the Konyak unit Aboy district demand committee na ki mahan lage support koroge na mahana district karne to itu karne Konyak union babi district to juldi ani dibo koge na bisas korina boy ase eto ekta janai dibe mahan Aboy karne Konyak union la office se undertaking loise ki Aboy district demand committee ge support korobo karne.
Okay.
So Aboy district demand committee today we are waiting that the KU will bring us the district will declare us the district very soon talking with the government na.
In response, the Deputy Chief Minister of Nagaland, Y. Patton, who is also in charge of the Home Department, informed this channel that the matter is still being discussed at length with the Chief Minister and that the government is taking serious heed of the matter at hand. So now, to talk more on this pressing matter, we are being joined by our senior news analyst, Sir Albert Nguli. who's joining us from the newsrooms, and we will be talking more about this demand that the Aboy community has asked. Well, thank you so much, sir, for joining me.
Hello, Akivi.
My first question to you would be, sir, the Aboy community has stated that they are going to go for an indefinite agitation. So, sir, if the Aboy community intensifies their agitation, do you think there's a certainty that, their impending need of being declared a district would be fulfilled?
Yes, I think the spirit of current sentiment, especially in the eastern areas in regard to Aboy subdivision being declared a district is very clear here. There seems to be a sense of anticipation that if the community keeps pushing at a demand, somehow eventually someone will have to blink first. And of course, the way things are unfolding in Aboy right now, I do not believe that the Aboy community will be the one to be blinking first here, Akivi. We have to refer to historical references to contextualize why the Aboy community is refusing to back down in this case, Akivi. Let's look at the first batch of districts that were declared for the state, Newland, Teminiu, and Chumugidima. So now the argument and the sentiment behind why Aboy wants to go ahead with this is this. Newland and Teminiu, they have been demanding the status of districts for a long time. And now Aboy, I believe they are also making a comparison to it. We also have been demanding for a long time the status of a district. And they got it while we haven't. And then let's get back to district number 3, Chumugidima. So the sentiment is that if an area that did not even seek the status of a district out of nowhere got the status, for example, Chumugidima, then why not us, Aboy? We have been demanding the status of a district for many years now, just like a leader just told us on TV that they have been demanding for about 13, 14 years now. So if an area that did not demand anything got something, then what about us, Aboy? We have been demanding for something, then we should be getting something. So the anticipation here is not necessarily about criteria and the fulfillment of certain objectives based on those criteria, but by the anticipation that the government can actually do something with just a stroke of the pen. And I'm referring to the executive order, that somehow there seems to be a perception that this is easy, this is an easy method to actually accomplish something. So that is why I believe the undercurrent sentiment behind Aboy community, the Aboy community willing to push ahead is that this is something they can actually accomplish. So they don't want to back down, they don't want to blink first, and they want to go ahead with the agitations. And tomorrow, I believe, will be the last date for the government to actually respond to this demand. Akivi.
All right, sir. Now, with the Aboy community set to intensify their agitations, sir, do you think that there's going to be some urgent activities happening around the corridors of the state government?
I think that is something we all have been expecting. We have been expecting to hear from the government in this regard, especially Aboy. I talked to someone from the Chief Minister's office just a few minutes ago, and I don't know if this is good or bad news, but I was told that no, currently there doesn't seem to be any kind of meetings or any kind of, activities going on within the corridors of the state government in regard to Aboy. Of course, they had a recent meeting, the Nagaland cabinet met on January 19, but according to my source, it was not necessarily in regard to Aboy, but it was in regard, mostly in regard to Shamator. And so far, there are no new developments within the Chief Minister's office in regard to Aboy. That's what I have heard at this time, Akivi.
All right, so far some of the largest and oldest areas that have been demanding districts have been quiet up to now. I mean, so what would some of the reasons be, I mean, like for them to keep quiet when so many people are demanding for districts?
Yeah, a lot of people are demanding districts everywhere. I mean, we had a statement of the deputy chief minister earlier, Mr. Yantango Patan. He said that 11 tribes in Nagaland are actually demanding districts. So anyhow, when the first batch of new districts for Nagaland was announced, we all expected the big districts, especially Bhandari subdivision in Wokha district. We have Mangolimba in Mokchong district. We expected them to come out tearing out of the bushes, Akivi, but so far we haven't heard from any of them. I'm not really sure what is going on in there, but there must have been some kind of a lobbying within that they have to keep quiet. But aside from the speculation, I do believe that Mangolimba has already a memorandum with the state government way back 2021. I think during the time the pandemic broke, and it was, I believe, being discussed in the district planning board in regard to their status, in regard to their demand to be upgraded to a district. But aside from that, we haven't really heard from any of the big areas that have been demanding the status of a district. However, we might have an update here. Meluri district in Peg, Meluri subdivision in Peg district. I believe that they made way back January 20, just a few days ago, in the residence of Yitachu, the Naga People's Front legislature. And they have, it seems like they have decided to take out a rally in the first week of February to press for the demand for a district for Meluri subdivision. So that's the latest we have right now, Akivi.
All right, sir. So what might be the ramifications of Nagaland creating more districts than it already has?
Yeah, that's the worry we are all worried about right now. It's something that we all have been thinking. How are we going to manage our resources? Who is going to get affected? But anyway, besides those speculations, I think the most and immediate impact will be a restructuring of the state government's administrative units and its administrative structure. You have to seek out and sort out all your logistics. You have to start reshuffling your administrative personnel, especially administrative services personnel such as IPS and IAS. Of course, that's the first thing. And secondly, as we have talked earlier, I think the biggest impact will be in the state's resources and exchequer. You have to have a bigger development fund outlay. You have to ensure that all the 16 and 17 districts in our states will have equitable budgetary attention. It will take a lot of resources. It is resources intensive. And the third ramification will be not immediate, I believe, but it will be like it will take effect maybe 5-6 years from now on, 10 years from now on. It's long term, but this is a potential problem. Land holding norms in Nagaland makes it very, very difficult for administrative entities such as the government to administrate issues of boundary disputes, land disputes, and with this many districts being created in such a short span of time, I do believe the potential here, which we are not really talking about, and the process for which has not been really worked on, will be boundary issues and disputes between communities and sections of the communities, especially those who are in the borders of the new districts, Akivi.
All right, so do you think that Nagaland is at the moment on a trend, and the trend being demand for district?
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of memes on Facebook and internet, and all these funny pictures about how it's raining districts and all that. But I think the cycle was started the moment Newland, Chumugidima, and Temini was declared district. It gave a perception that it's not a very difficult job. In fact, it's an easy job for the government to create districts out of any areas. The perception of weakness and the perception of accessibility and ease with which you create administrative districts somehow triggered all the other areas in the state who have been demanding a separate administrative unit of their own. It triggered them to actually launch movements that will reinforce the perception that okay, it's very easy. The government can create a district out of this or that area. So somehow it encouraged the other areas to launch separate movements, and we are seeing the impact of those, and the cycle so far has not yet stopped. Yes, the trend is on, QV.
All right, sir, and before we end the conversation, this would be my last question, sir, and that would be, Nagaland already has a lot of interstate boundary disputes with the Assam, and also so many small interstate disputes.
Indeed.
And do you think that now the government now will have additional problems with inter-district disputes now?
Not necessarily, Akivi, because when we're talking of boundaries between states, we are talking about resolution at a two-state level.
Yes.
And it is not between districts or villages. Of course, for example, Wokha district, they have a long boundary with Assam, Mochong, Mon district. So all these issues, they touch different administrative areas, Akivi. But it is not the responsibility of the administrations at the local level to decide interstate issues such as boundaries. So I do not really believe that the magnitude of the problem will be increased. However, the magnitude of handling the boundary issues at a local level, now that there are new districts, and these new districts each touch, for example, an issue, boundary issue with Assam. So it might not be a localized effort for the state government to actually engage at a large level. But at the local level, it might be a lot of there might be a lot of logistical problems. But like I said, these are issues which can be handled at the two-state executive level, not local and executive levels, Akivi.
All right, sir. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us more details on the Aboy community and also the fact that they are going to intensify their agitation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Akivi, for having me.
So that was Sir Al Muli, our senior news analyst, who just told us that the Aboy community, there's just a day left for the government to actually do something about giving them the district, and also that if nothing is done, then they said they are going to intensify their agitation. And looking at the trend, Nagaland is currently on a trend of demand districts.